Everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Hope everybody's having a wonderful, oh my gosh, what day is it? Friday. Hope everybody's having a great Friday. This will be my life update, pretty much a video of my journey through motherhood so far. And I actually want to do a couple of these updates throughout, well, pretty much all of Juliana's life and any other subsequent children. So I think I'm going to make the title just Journeys Through Motherhood. Hope that sounds okay. Change it, I will let you guys know. So let me go ahead and start by saying that one day Juliana will be watching this, and when you are, my love, just to let you know before I even go rambling into this story that I love you very, very much. And I couldn't have asked for a greater gift from God that you came to your dad and I and into this family, and I am eternally grateful that you are here. These are going to be true struggles that I've been going through, and some of you guys have may be going through the same exact thing. I love you very much, and one day when you have your kid or kids, maybe you can look back and you could be like, wow, my mom was feeling the same exact way, and everything will be okay. So now that we got that taken care of, let me start off. I have a whole group of friends, and I am the last one of all of my friends to have a baby. And, you know, I've looked around, and while I was pregnant, I was so excited to become a mom. I wanted Juliana to already be here. I wanted to feel that calm, peace, bonding, that not to say that I do not have a bonding with my daughter at all. I love my daughter. We have a strong bond that we have worked on since the day that she was born. But I would look around and I would just see these babies in the carriage sleeping so peacefully. You know, the parents going out, enjoying themselves, still going to a restaurant, the child still sleeping, you know, newborn still sleeping in the car seat while the parents have their time, and just be able to go out and still kind of live their lives. And with my friends, their kids, when they were little, didn't even cry, they didn't even fuss, they were such good kids. And you could just sit there and have a conversation and just have your baby right there, and the baby could even be awake and didn't fuss, didn't do anything. So I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'm gonna have a smooth transition into what my life was, which was, you know, I went out a lot with my friends. I had a good time. I was always out and about. And I figured whenever Juliana came into the world that I was going to be able to still, you know, kind of do the same thing, and she would just be this perfect little angel in the car seat and just let me do what I wanted to do, and she would just sleep, and, you know, whenever she woke up, feed her, and, you know, it would just be amazing. Well, I had a very rude awakening when she was born. From the moment that this girl came out and came into the world, she has just been a very needy and fussy baby. I didn't sleep already for the 32 hours that I was in labor, and I didn't get any sleep for a while. You know, I was in the hospital round the clock. I'd have to get her up. She was just wanting to be held, and I understand that. When they're newborns, it's a strange world. They need their mother's comfort, and I was totally okay with that. So I would keep her, and the only way that she would fall asleep was when I was in the hospital bed and she was right beside me, and that's a big no-no. And they tell you not to do that. You could roll over, anything could happen, but that was the only way that I could get this baby to sleep, and I desperately needed some sleep. So that was the only way, was to have her really, really close to me that she would fall asleep. Well, 2 days later, you know, I went home after being in the hospital. I wanted to be home. I didn't want to stay. They said that I had to stay another day, but I was able to get like the pediatrician's appointment and everything else, and I was ready to go. I was ready to be home in my own element. I was an emotional wreck as soon as I had her. I was crying over everything. So I just wanted to be in my own element, my own atmosphere. So we came home and still didn't get any sleep. I tried to put her in the little bassinet beside us, and she just wasn't having it. And all I wanted to do was get some sleep. I loved, you know, I still had that adrenaline and love for my child. This was my first child. I had that, but I was sleep deprived and I was not the happiest person on the planet. On top of that, in the beginning, I was having a very hard time breastfeeding, and she just wouldn't latch, or when she would latch, like I was in ultimate pain, like cracked nipples, like bleeding. It was horrible in the beginning. But I had such a great determination to breastfeed her. I just kept going and I winced through all of my breastfeeding. It's like it got to the point where I dreaded breastfeeding this child because it hurt so bad. And she was literally on my boob all the time. And that, you know, after a while, after a couple of days, it started getting rough. It was very, very rough. And I've heard from my other friends, and I've seen them whenever they breastfed, that babies were calm and they were getting to, you know, they were getting the latch and everything else. And then I was starting to get frustrated because she just wasn't latching. She was fussing. At one point I cried and I yelled. I said, "I don't know what you want. I have no idea. I don't know what to do for you." And I didn't want to give her formula. Did not want to give her formula. I had to give her formula, I think, for the very first 2 days of her life, but they were just in such small doses that, I don't know, it's like she really didn't get formula. You know, after a while, it got better. I worked at it, I worked through it. When she was like 8 days old, I had one of the lactation consultants come over to my house, and she gave me some really good tips on how to breastfeed her, and doing the football hold and the cross cradle, and then doing like the little sandwich thing with the boob and all that stuff. And it got better. But and I don't know if it's because she's been breastfed that she's just so needy and she just wants to be around me. And I feel bad to even think that I wanted just a couple minutes of peace and be away from her so that I can clear my mind. But that's what I was going through. And I was looking around and I was just like, all these other kids, you know, they're so calm. Like, why do I have the fussy baby? Why am I having so much trouble with this baby? And everybody else is calm. I used to go over to my friend's house with Juliana just to get out of the house while Mike was at work. And it was a total disaster. I could only stay there for like an hour or two before she started screaming her head off, and I couldn't calm her down, and I had to leave. And then I was getting so pissed off because I couldn't even spend time with my friends because I had this screaming baby, couldn't calm her down. Like, my anxiety level went through the roof. And let's not even talk about the car, because this girl, I don't know if it was the car or the car seat, but this girl hated being in the car seat or the car. And she would cry bloody murder every time, and it would be like my first time driving, and I couldn't get back there. I had high anxiety. She would just be screaming, and then, you know, other kids love the car. It puts them to sleep, but not her. She would not go to sleep, and I was just like, I was losing it. I was losing my mind. I was not the same person that I was. And at one point, it got so bad that I didn't enjoy being a mom in the beginning. I didn't like motherhood. I didn't like what I had to deal with. And I told Mike, I said, I don't know if we're going to have another baby. I don't know if I'm ready to do this again, because it had been so horrible in the beginning. And I don't know if she had colic. You know, we got the gripe water, we got all that stuff, but we spent many a nights roaming up and down the hallways to try to put this girl to sleep at night. And I mean, once she was asleep though at night, she slept through the night. So that was a good thing. At least she was sleeping through the night, and I rarely ever got up to feed her. But, you know, her naps were not so good, and I depended on those naps so that I could get some kind of sleep or do stuff for myself and be independent. But it didn't work. It didn't happen. Like, she was just like, I baby wore her. I had to be able just to even like sit down on the couch. I wasn't really able to do anything else. I couldn't wash dishes because the wrap would be getting in the way. My house was a total disaster for like the first 2 months. Like, you walked in and it's like, I know when people would come over, I don't know if they were like judging me because my place was a mess. Dishes were piled up. Like, I had laundry all over the place. I didn't have time. She would not even let me put her down to do anything. Anything. So I always had to have her. She slept for the longest time on top of me. I had to be out on the couch so that Mike was able to get sleep because he had to go to work. Oh, and then when he went back to work, I was an emotional wreck because he had already spent an entire week with me at home, and then I didn't have any help, and oh my goodness, I was bawling. Like, it was ridiculous. And I would sleep on the recliner, and I had to have her on top of me, and I would sleep on the side, breastfeeding her from the side, and that's how I would sleep. And I wasn't really getting any sleep because I was consistently worrying about, oh my gosh, what if I roll over? What if something happens? But that was the only way that she could sleep, and you guys know, baby sleeping is the most precious, relieving thing ever. So yeah, in the beginning, I didn't like being a mom. And it hurt me to even think or to even say that. And I would have to tell people were like, oh, how does it feel? And I would have to tell them, like, I'm having a miserable time. This child won't stop fussing. I constantly have to have her in my arms. It was getting bad. And people would tell me, oh, it gets better. It gets better. Don't worry. This is only a phase. It's going to get through. You're going to get through this. Thank God that I finally got through. And she finally started getting out of the fussiness and all that. I mean, she still now won't let me put her down sometimes, or if other people are around, like whenever we went up to Georgia and she was around my family, she's never really seen them. So, of course, she was going to be hung, she was grabbing onto me, clawing my chest just to stick with me. So she would only go with Mike and I. And then after, a couple of days of being there, she would go with other people and everything. But, still to this day, she'd rather be held than put down. And I've come to realize, and I've settled myself with this, you know what? This is just how she is. And I can either accept it, or I can be miserable for the rest of my life because I can't deal with this. And if I did that, I wouldn't be the best mother that I can be. So I learned how to accept it. And I tend to her as best as possible, and I try to make her as comfortable as possible. And it does get better. It does get better. Like, throughout the months, I have seen such a change. And she's gotten a little bit independent, but she still wants to be held and everything else. And one thing that I absolutely hate, okay, is when other people tell me, oh, she's so spoiled. You always pick her up. You gotta leave her and you gotta let her cry. You gotta do this. I hate that. I don't like that. Like, I'm gonna do what's best for my kid. And if that means picking her up and consoling her and comforting her because she wants her mother, I'm gonna do that. So if you don't like what I'm doing, that's just too bad, too sad. You had your kids, they're already grown, whatever, or, you may have the kids now and they're a little bit bigger. Let me do what I need to do. Don't tell me that I'm spoiling my child by picking her up. Because I have done tons of research on kids, the reason why they cry for a reason. They want to be comforted. They want their mother. And I am okay with that. You know what? If she keeps on doing it till she's a year and a half, I don't care. I'm going to keep doing it. And eventually, she's going to grow out of it. That's another thing, articles and stuff that I've seen too. The kids will eventually grow out of it. They're not going to always want to be held. And I'm going to cherish every moment that I have with my kid that she wants to cuddle with me and she wants to be next to me and everything else. So if you're going through that, just kind of nod and smile. And, just take it with a grain of salt because you know what's best for your child. And you're going to do whatever you want to do to keep your child comfortable and not crying. I've even had a family member, I was holding her and she came up to her. And I guess she was like trying to say hi to her or whatever. And of course she started crying. You know, she doesn't really see you that much, so of course she's gonna kind of retract and cry. And she turns and says, "Oh, does she not like people? Does your kid not like people?" Around her all the time. So, of course, she's going to have an issue with you. She just wants to be with her mother and father because that's who she's known since birth. So, anyway, to just, kind of just shake all that off because you know what's best for your baby. Just do what you need to do. So, this is probably getting really long. So, I'm probably just going to go ahead and cut it off here. And, so yeah. So, the beginning of motherhood was hard. Didn't know if it was for me. I wasn't sure. But now I love it. I love every minute. Like, I love waking up with my daughter and seeing her smile when I come and get her and playing with her on the floor now and just watching her interact with her father whenever he comes home from work. She lights up to see Mike, and it's amazing. Like, I wouldn't change anything. I would go back and do everything all over again because this is how much my kid means to me. Yeah, I went through hell in the beginning, but it does get better, and it has been getting better, and she's, oh my gosh, it's total transformation. And now, she's growing into her own little person, and it's amazing. I love her very much. So hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. I put some other vlogs and some informational videos and stuff up. So go ahead and subscribe and watch our little family. So I will see you guys next vlog.